So as a passive investor, my money is working for me. So I'm giving my money to experts in a space and they're deploying my money. If you think of it, on most deals, the passive investors are the largest shareholder within a group. So when a deal has a 70-30 split, let's say, the passive investors own 70 and the active investors own 30.
All right, everybody, welcome back again to another exciting episode of Action Takers Unscripted. Today, I have the pleasure of having Trevor on the show. How are we doing today, Trevor?
I'm doing fantastic. Good to be here.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad to have you here. All right, let's get the audience members to know a little bit about you and what you do in the real estate game and where you come from and just what do you do now.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm originally from Niagara Falls, Canada. Was in the attraction and entertainment business most of my life. So I started at Ripley's, believe it or not, at age 13.
Oh, I
Then I
remember
worked
that show.
18
Yeah.
years. I worked there all through high school. Then I worked 18 years with Guinness World Records.
Wow.
And then I was actually trying to open a Guinness World Records in Orlando, Florida,
Mm.
but I couldn't get the franchise rights. So oddly enough, I ended up opening a year-round haunted house in Orlando, Florida. I did that for 3 years. And then I got recruited by a company called I Fly Indoor Skydiving.
Mm.
And we opened vertical wind tunnels where you can fly indoor skydiving. I opened 46 of 80 locations all over the world. I was always interested in real estate, but I'm going to call it afraid of toilets, tenants, and trash. And then I always had the excuse, no time, no money, no time, no money. Well,
Mm.
iFly did get bought out by a private equity company, so I lost the no money. And I said, okay, that's it. I've got to learn more about real estate investing. And then I found out about real estate syndication, and the rest is history. It was just like mind boggling. I didn't know anything about it. And it just changed my whole world, my whole paradigm, everything.
Trevor, you have a very interesting history.
I do.
Oh man, Ripley's
Yeah, and
Believe
I
It
know
or
you're in
Not.
Japan. I've actually went there twice. The world's tallest lady used to work for me at Guinness,
Oh
and
yeah.
she went there and did TV shows. She was 7'7" and a quarter.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
and so it's pretty wild. Yeah. So I know you're over there, but yeah, I went twice where she was on television shows, and yeah, it was quite interesting.
Oh wow. Yeah. Can we can we dive into some of those jobs that you had? Ripley's Believe It or Not. It's not a show anymore, is it? Or
It's not anymore, but they
yeah.
still have museums that are in several tourist type cities. In fact, the one I started at, more than 50 years ago, I was actually up in Canada on my 50th anniversary of when it would have been. I was visiting my family that's still up there, and I went there and recorded a little video right in front of. This is where my life really kind of began. At age 13, I started my career, and the rest is, and then as I said, I worked for Guinness World Records.
Mm.
I would say the most exciting thing there was we gave Michael Jackson a Lifetime Achievement Award right after Thriller, and I actually had lunch with him,
Oh,
which is not too many people can say they had lunch with Michael
oh
Jackson.
yeah. Oh yeah. That
Yeah,
is oh man,
and
what a
so yeah, so it was very. I've had the very unique career,
yeah.
but as I said again, I was always interested in real estate, but just didn't know where to start. And then as soon as I found out about syndicating, I went, wait a minute, I understand this business model.
Mm.
I'm going to give my money to people that know what they're doing.
Mm.
They're buying a business
Mm.
that is backed by a piece of real estate. Most of my first investments were in multifamily. They're going to improve that business and sell it for a profit. And I went, wow, it's kind of simple. Why didn't I know about it? Why didn't I think about it? I mean, who'd ever thought you could own a part of millions of dollars of apartment complexes? Never thought it in a million years. And then once I figured it out, I became unstoppable. So I have personally invested in 20 syndications, and now I've switched over to the active side, and I'm on my 11th deal right now. So 31 total deals in 5.5 years is just it's been so exciting.
Yes, within 5 years, that's incredible as well. Like
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah, the first part's easy, right?
mm.
Passive investing, you just got to have a little bit of money. And I got lucky. We got some money. I had some deals very on that rotated quickly. And so I was managed to redeploy that. And I was also very fortunate that a couple of the deals didn't quite have the minimum, but my friends let me get into the deal with a little less than minimum. So there are lots of ways to get in.
Mm.
The most important thing that your listeners should know is get in as soon as you can.
Yes.
They always say, when is the best time to start? It was, yes, like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, or
Absolutely.
in my
Yep.
case, 40 years ago or 30 years ago, probably. And the next best time to start is now.
Yes. I'm gonna quote my good friend on here, who's also quoted someone else, Brian Briscoe. He
Yeah,
always
Frank's
states,
awesome.
"Yeah, oh yeah, great dude, right?" He always states, buy real estate and wait. Don't
Yeah,
wait to buy real estate.
that's
Buy
it.
real estate and wait.
Yeah,
So it's a great game, and like you said, like your own story yourself. 5 years ago, that is quick.
yeah,
I want my audience members to know there are certain things you can do within 5 years, and you could still be sitting and waiting on those sidelines
yeah,
and waiting 40 years, 50 years, and then later on, like understand how great one real estate is, how
yeah.
much of a profit it can be, how much of a business it is a business. Real
It
estate
is a
is a
business. A
business.
lot of people don't think that,
Oh
right?
yeah.
You're
Absolutely.
actually buying a business that's backed by real estate asset, right? So no
Absolutely.
matter what you're buying, there is some sort of business, right? Multifamily, it's apartments.
Mm,
Retail, it's stores.
mm,
Medical center, I've got Bethesda Medical Center, it's doctors. Multi-storage, it's tenants or it's people that are storing their junk, right? Americans, we got a lot of junk, and so we got to keep it all stored. So we have so much junk, we pay somebody to hold it. It's kind of funny,
yeah.
but they're all over the place, and
Oh
they're
yeah.
very successful businesses.
Mm. It just depending on whichever niche that you choose.
Yeah,
There's so many options that
there
you
is.
just stated. Whichever niche that you choose one, you actually have to learn about the process. You have to learn about the business in order for you to become successful and be a great syndicator, a great limited partner, general partner, whichever way that you want to go. You started in the space as far as multifamily, correct?
That's
Uh,
correct. My first few investments were multifamily. A
okay.
lot of people start there because, first of all, there's a huge demand for housing. There's a huge demand for taking older apartment complexes and making them nicer, making them better places to live, being able to increase the rents. So it was one of the easiest spaces to get into. It's also one of the easiest spaces to get financing. It's much easier than new build or certain things. It's just easier to get financed. So therefore, there are more opportunities. And then, of course, there's all levels, right? Most of what I'm in is what's called value add, where you buy an older apartment complex and you fix it up. But I'm also an investor in a new build, a brand new one from the ground up. And I'm also an investor of one that went ground up and then the developers sold it to an operator because there's all these different phases, right? So there's obviously building it as phase one kind of
Yep.
deal. And then normally what happens is those developers, they're not operators, they're developers. And so they build it, they get at least up to, let's say, 80%. They have a lot of concessions to get people to move in because they're trying to fill a couple hundred apartments at the very beginning. Then they sell it to an operator
Mm,
who finishes leasing it up, burns off concessions, rent discounts, does different things, and then they'll run it for a period of time, and then they'll sell it to someone else who's an expert at the next phase, and then eventually 20, 30 years down the road it turns into a value add because they've kind of ignored it for a few years, and it's very interesting that the same buildings also often get recycled,
mm,
and each time they still do tune a profit for the investors.
absolutely. It's funny that you say that because there's a deal that just came up across my email, or actually through LinkedIn. A buddy of mine, Class A, 300 and I think 41 units, new development as well, building from the ground up. Phase one is building from getting the building and land. Land is already purchased. It's just getting the building set up. And then phase two is where they go into getting tenants in. It's already
Yeah.
built. And then all throughout the years, it's basically it's a it's a really incredible opportunity for accredited investors. It really looks like it's like 25 to 27% of IRR. That's just
Yeah,
incredible in itself. And
it is. Yeah,
they said
yeah.
that was conservative writing, underwriting. So
And and
it's
and there's always specialists in each phase, right?
yes,
There are definitely specialists, right? Like if you're a new person starting out, you definitely don't want to be building and
no,
going, so you got to be experienced. You've got to have a professional team that knows what they're doing.
absolutely.
Same thing on the heavier value add lift, right? You need to make sure, okay, how am I turning these apartments? How am I getting the rents? Because you inherit a different tenant base. So each phase of it, you should make sure that who you're giving your money to is a specialist within that phase.
Absolutely. And let's dive into that because I think that's important as a limited partner for you to understand who you're doing business with, understand who you're giving your capital to,
Yeah.
and understand what their exit points are in regards to that. What did you do in regards to you becoming a limited partner in the multifamily space?
Yeah, so I joined a mentorship program. It's just a local Texas-based one. But the reason I joined it was, first of all, I needed to get educated. Secondly, I wanted to invest with people that were within my program because I knew them. I'd go see them at meetups. I would, it was all of them. I live in Austin, and this was a Texas group, and their thing was Texas doing business, buying real estate in Texas, and I liked that idea. And I could go see them. I invested in San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas, and I could go see the properties before I gave my money.
Mm.
So again, the most important thing is to get some education at the beginning, which I did. The next most important thing is who you give your money to is more important than all of the other things that happen.
Mm.
And then the third thing is you just need to understand a little bit about the deal to make sure that the checks and balances are there, right? Are
Yes.
the things they're telling you true? Can they really get rents up 10%? Can they
Mm.
really get costs down 10%? How and
Mhm.
why?
Mm.
Because those are tough things right now with rapid inflation and different things to get costs down. So is their business plan realistic? I also look for groups that educate people. So
Mm.
earlier when we were talking, you mentioned our good friend Brian Briscoe offers a lot of education
Mm.
that gives them the credibility, right?
Mhm.
With Massive Capital, we offer a lot of education. Every Wednesday night, we have a webinar and we talk about different topics and we ask people, what topics would you like? And so, I've been doing it for a year. So I've like hosted 52 webinars where we bring on specialists or we do case studies. So you want to be looking for a group that's giving you some education,
Mm.
giving you a chance to ask and get questions answered. Those are the most important things. So the who you give your money to is very important. And
Absolutely.
then one other thing I like to talk to investors that are new and starting out is you need to have some strategic, especially if you're going to do a few investments. Okay. So what you don't want to do is do 5 investments with the exact same, even group, even my group, and with the exact same, you want to have a little diversity.
Mm.
So for example, think of playing baseball. The team that wins can get somebody on first and second.
Mhm.
And then every once in a while they get the home run. That's how
Mm.
they win, right? So when you're investing, go for a little conservative deal here and a second base deal here, and then try to get a couple of home runs. Because if you go to bat, if I'd invested in 20 long shot deals,
Mm.
I wouldn't have the success rate that I have. So I have a couple. One is a medical office building. It's operated by a friend of mine. I know he's a retired physician. He understands the business. He's got several of these. They're triple net leases, which means the tenants are responsible for everything. And even the better icing on the cake, the doctor practice guarantees the lease and he has to personally guarantee the lease. So it's
Mm.
a double guaranteed triple net lease. It's kind of like a no brainer, but it's paying me a 10% return. So it's a lot less return, but I'm okay with that. I put some of my retirement money there. I don't need a home run. And then you go into value add multifamily, and there's you're trying to get the home run. You might get one, two, three, or you might get the home run. And I've had it. I've had one tripled my money in 20 months and one just gave me my money back. So again, to me, just getting my money back is kind of a single and giving me 3 times my money back in 20 months is the grand slam, right? Bases
Yes.
were loaded and we hit a home run.
Absolutely.
But that's okay. You need to look at that. And that
Mm.
helps you get a little risk exposure because that's super important, right? Because we're balancing out risk reward on our investment benefits. The
Mm.
goal is on average to double your money every 5 years. Clearly, there's lots of tax advantages, and depending on your situation, how much you can use of those tax advantages. But there are lots of things to look at. But at the end of the day, who you give your money to is the most important thing.
Absolutely. And I love the stuff that you shared there and why you invested with some of the deals that you invested in and the diversification of it too.
Yeah,
But I like where you started as well. Like education is important as well. It's
educate.
educating yourself. I mean, I've stated that in multiple podcasts. So have other guests. Educating yourself first, and then going into a deal. Taking action is part of that too.
And
With
then knowing what you want, right? So I met a
Mhm.
lady. I really wanted to do a deal with her.
Mm.
I wanted to do a deal in the Carolinas. I had no investments in the Carolinas. Her first two deals were multifamily, and I thought I've got too much multifamily. I don't want. I want to. And next thing you know, the third email from her was a new build self storage,
Mm.
and just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. My brother lives there. I know the market. It's fat, and it's like I patiently waited for the right thing to balance myself out. To date, it's my only storage investment, although I plan to do some more.
Yeah.
I wanted something in the Carolinas. I wanted something in the new build category, it's just a good thing. Another super important thing that I try to tell people is look at the returns. If they're telling you very high returns, be nervous.
Mm.
Okay, be nervous, right? My mama told me if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And my mama was a smart woman.
Oh yeah.
And when someone says, I'm going to triple those folks that tripled my money did not say they were going to triple my money. They said they were going to double it in 5 years.
Mm.
Okay. And it was interesting too. I actually went to one of their webinars with a deal that didn't go well.
Mm.
And they explained what happened and what they learned and how they changed their investment models. And one person on the webinar called me and said, well, why would they tell what they did wrong? And I said, the exact opposite. I'm so glad they told what they did wrong
Yeah.
because those guys learned a lesson.
Oh yeah.
And they learned the lesson on their money and somebody else's. Now I get to have the advantage of them learning that lesson.
Yeah.
So again, don't look for people that are always promising these big returns. I'm always right. I never make any mistakes. We all make mistakes. It's
Yes.
how do we learn from them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a very golden nugget. You just dropped a couple golden nuggets over the past few minutes, but that's very important too. Showing with that team that you said that shared their story in
Yeah.
regards to why that deal didn't go so well. I think that is very important for you to show your potential investors as well, to show your growth between
Yeah.
what happened with that deal that didn't go so well and what are you doing now to pivot to ensure that doesn't happen again. That shows investors, one, okay, this guy he knows what he's talking about, or these guys are going to ensure that we get our return back plus more, or they're going
Yeah.
to beat or promise us, or not promise, but do their best interest to ensure that the investors are taken care
Yeah.
of. That is very, very important. I was reading like a couple of days ago when you initially stated that you wanted to come on the show. I was reading through your bio that you showed me, and I saw that you're mostly a limited partner in most of these deals, but you're also a general partner in some deals
Yes.
as well. Can you step into what's the difference as far as being a limited partner and general partner, and
Yeah.
why you're both in, and what I guess what's the benefits of being a limited partner and what's the benefits of being a general partner?
Yes, yeah. So the limited partner, the most important thing to think about a limited partner is your money is working for you. You're not working for your money.
Mm.
So the great Warren Buffett said, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. So it's a great statement, right?
Mm.
So as a passive investor, my money is working for me. So I'm giving my money to experts in a space and they're deploying my money. If you think of it, on most deals, the passive investors are the largest shareholder within a group. So when a deal has a 70-30 split, let's say, the passive investors own 70 and the active investors own 30. So at the beginning, when I first started, I didn't feel qualified to risk your money. I
Mm.
was okay risking my money.
Mm.
Okay. And then as I started to learn, I was actually a passive investor on a deal that wasn't going well. And it was someone within our group. So I said, could I volunteer to help just to learn? And I
Mm.
spent 9 months volunteering as their asset manager. And I learned a whole bunch. And what I learned was, well, I really enjoy this part of it. I really enjoy making apartments better. I enjoy making people's lives better.
Mm.
My goal was to create a community where you said, come over to my house, not to my apartment or to my home. And that was very important to me. And we tried to, we did little programs like all the kids got free backpacks full of supplies to go back to school. And just because, again, it was a really working class, tougher neighborhood. We wanted to do some things. And so I got so much reward out of that. And then I was working my job, working really hard, and I had no intentions. And then all of a sudden, COVID came along, and our company 2/3 downside. I was on the development side. So I decided, okay, I'm going to switch and do this full time. So a lot of people think, well, I'm going to switch and do this full time. That's easy. Let me tell you, it's not easy. It's not easy. So my very first deal, we spent 6 months trying to close. We couldn't close. We lost $350,000, of which 75 was my personal money. So when you say, why does a sponsor make money? Well, it's for instances like that. I was hoping it'd be my second or third one that I lost money, not my first one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the difference is now I'm back into my time is working for my money, right? So I'm putting these deals together. I'm managing the deals. I'm getting investors. So I'm putting my time in, but I'm also still passively investing in as many as I can because I still believe that syndicators should have skin in the game. No, I don't have skin in all 11 of mine because I still, some haven't gone full cycle. And plus, I don't always want to put all my eggs in my own basket. Even though I believe in my basket, you need to be smart. This is my children's legacy, what I'm going to leave my family. And so, but I really enjoyed this side of it, and I set a mission for myself to help 1,000 people gain financial independence through real estate investing. And that doesn't all mean they invest with me. If I touch somebody on your podcast and they invest with someone else and they're successful, that's part of my 1,000 people, okay?
Yeah.
Because I want people to learn, because I didn't do this till my late 50s. And so I was pretty late starting. And I want to tell people the power of passive investing is compounding your money. So I'm going to give you a little story. You're a younger guy than I am. You put $100,000 in a deal, and in 5 years, it doubles to two. You take the whole two, you don't live on it, because as a sponsor, I got to live off it. I still got to pay my bills. So
Oh yeah.
as a passive, I don't have to live on it. I still got a job. Then I take that two and I invest it, it becomes four. Then that four becomes 800,000. Then it becomes 1.6 million. And it becomes 3.2 million. So 25 years, I never put another penny in other than the 100,000. I'm assuming no tax implications. I'm assuming you double. There's a lot of assumptions, but think of the power of that. Put in $100,000, let that money grow and compound, and in 25 years, it's worth 3.2 million. Do you think that would change your five kids' lives? I mean,
Absolutely.
it would change your five kids' lives, right? It would change all of your options. That's the true path to financial freedom.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm taking some of my own money and I'm doubling it and leaving it in. But I'm also taking the money I make from being a sponsor. And for now, that's what I'm living on. That's what I'm paying my business bills on, because I have to. This is the next way. So I'm sort of doing both sides of the coin. But again, if you look at it on a typical investment, 70% of the profits go to the investors, 30% of the profit goes to the sponsors. I'm always, sometimes if I can, part of that 70%. So my passive money still grows. And so, but I switched because when I lost my job, I said, listen, I don't want to go work for some 22-year-old MBA kid and be told what to do, right? I'm a stubborn old guy. Had very entrepreneurial type things, and I'm having the time of my life, and I'm enjoying it, right? Now, is it hard work? Absolutely. Do I sit there at some nights and worry about my investors' money? Absolutely. Okay, because I am the people's futures are in the syndicator's hand. Your financial future, your children's financial future is in our hands as a sin. And a lot of people don't seem to quite get that. And to me, that is the most important thing,
Mhm.
that I am responsible for all of these people's life savings in some cases. So everybody says, oh, just switch to being a syndicator, hire a property manager, sit on the beach and drink pina coladas and money will roll in. I'm here to tell you that is not true.
That is absolutely right, Trevor. I think if you one at being a syndicator, if you are not, if you don't have some type of worry about ensuring that your investors are taken care of, or maybe not losing any sleep every now and then, just to make sure, like, oh my God, what should I do? Like, okay, like if you don't have that, then I don't know, like you maybe you shouldn't be a syndicator. That's a little scary in my part, but it's all about protecting those investors. I think that's a big
Yeah.
component in being a syndicator and being a sponsor for these type of deals. Just making sure that there are some risks when you
Yeah. There's
invest.
always risk.
It's always risk when you invest in any type of deal, whether it can be multifamily, it could be real estate, it can be stocks. There's risk involved. Is what are we doing as the sponsors to mitigate those risks
Yeah.
as much as possible?
And the biggest difference is
Mhm.
many of these risks are somewhat controlled.
Mhm.
Okay. Russia attacks Ukraine, the stock market goes down. What control do you have of that? Those
Mhm.
folks that are bombing ships and now we're bombing them, what control over that do we have? And then if something
Mhm.
happens, the
Mhm.
stock market reacts to the something happens, right?
Absolutely.
Rents don't go down when stuff like that happens. People
Right.
still need houses. Real estate has appreciated over time as long as ever, right? They're
Mhm.
not making any more dirt. So there are some things where, yes, it's still risky, but it's very risk adjusted because you're investing in some sort of microcosm, right?
Mhm.
Now, again, if you're looking at your neighborhoods and you're in a growth state and you're in a growth area, I'm not investing in states that aren't landlord or business friendly.
Mhm.
I'm investing in the states that everybody's coming to, right? So everybody up north is coming down south. Everybody on the west coast is moving east to Texas, and I mean, I live in Austin. And I've been here, I think, 14 years now, and doubled in population.
Wow. Yeah.
Doubled.
Incredible. Yeah.
It's amazing because people are fleeing places that aren't, they're just not friendly to, taxes and business and other things. So
Yeah. And Texas is one of those spots. Texas, Florida is where the retirees are going.
yeah.
Yeah, in Texas, it's a lot of people say it should be its own country because
It
you can
is. It
travel.
takes 24 hours to drive across Texas.
Right. Yeah, it's just
24 hours.
it's
I had
just
no idea until I moved here from Florida. And
yeah,
I was like, I'm in Austin halfway through, and I got to the border, and it was like 12 hours to go on my GPS. And I'm like, oh, man, that's a big state.
incredible. Like I was like, oh my God, it could really be its own country if it
Yeah.
wanted to be. Yeah. So, but shout out to all my Texas folks out there. I love you guys. But yeah, what you said, Trevor, is exactly what all syndicators should be mindful of. Is again just ensuring that the capital is one either return. Like sometimes you have to learn through those the hard way to learn through
Yeah.
those losses. But in the end, the risk versus control versus stock market and
Yeah.
real estate, two different ball games when it comes to the risk and control factor.
Yeah.
I believe the more control you have, the lower risk you have with real estate investment, and the more risk you're taking in stocks and less control that you have in
Yeah.
regards to.
And especially in multifamily, everybody needs a home. There's a
Oh yeah.
shorting crisis in America. There's a housing crisis in America with all of the things that are happening. Home ownership is unattainable for many people.
Mhm.
My generation, we could all buy homes. Okay. But my kids' generation and even their kids' generation, I don't know if they can all buy homes now just
That's
because of
right.
the way things have happened.
Yeah.
It's just, and especially people that live in very expensive places like California and New York and Washington area, Seattle, very expensive.
Yeah, it is. Very expensive. What are some of the ways that people can, I guess, invest with massive capital? Matter of fact, can you talk about massive capital? This is your company. Just
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about
So
massive
it's
capital,
quite
what you guys
interesting
do.
too. So one of the principles of massive capital was actually the person I invested with first. So it's kind of how the world goes full cycle. So he was doing real estate syndication. He actually took a step back to a personal matter, and then he came back, and then he joined up with this group, Massive Capital. So Massive Capital, I refer to us as an entrepreneurial syndicator. So we do land entitlement, multifamily, new build retail. So we're a little bit involved in a lot of things, very heavy focused on our education program. We do have a mastermind now that people can join. But we really work at educating people and helping people to learn and to understand and create it. And so I'm Massive Capital. I'm the vice president of investor engagement. And part of it was I created my own title because I wanted to create a community that people were engaged with each other, felt part of. So that was a lot of what we do, and we're very much, and we're not unique. We're not the only ones doing it. We just try to have a little bit more fresh look at things. Opposite to many people, we love challenging questions. And where sometimes if you go to a deal webinar and you ask challenging questions, you get the, candy coated answers, not the real answers.
Right.
And so it's a little bit different. I've been just more than a year now with them. And so 8 of my 11 deals that I'm a syndicator has been with this group. The other ones are with people outside of Massive Capital. But it's a great place. We try just to bring a lot of value to people that want to learn about it. So, and we have a website, just Massive Capital, and then you can reach me. You got to remember the K. So K Trevor Thompson. LinkedIn is the easiest. Just tell me that you saw me on a podcast, and I'll always accept, always take a call. Again, I think that's another important thing in the who. Are they going to take a call
Mm.
and talk to you and without having a deal to give you? At the end of the day, I want to know the person and what their goals and their dreams are. And then let's talk about the other stuff later. That's super important to all of us at Massive Capital. We want to get to know people. We want to connect with people. We want to bring value. And we think if we do those things, they'll want to invest with us.
Yes.
Versus, go to a meetup and say, I've got a deal. Do you want to invest? That's not our style.
That's good, Trevor. I think that one of the key things there in regards to building a relationship, you want to ensure that you know this person's goal, because maybe that person doesn't just want to invest in real estate at all. Maybe they just want to maybe just learn about it first and then jump into it. But it's building that relationship first and
Yeah.
not just jumping into like just jump into this deal. Come on,
Yeah.
join us right now. Like you want to build up on that relationship. At least make it personable and get to know the person, get to know the human first,
Yeah.
and then they can decide on whether or not they want to invest with you and your team.
And then, I mean, I reached out to you, right? I saw a friend of mine was on your podcast. It was an enjoyable podcast. And so I reach out to all kinds of people saying, hey, I like to talk, I
Awesome.
like to try to bring value, and again, to me, that's the most important thing, right? Is to be able to give value to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Bringing that value back, and that's hopefully what I'm doing for this podcast, and you have
Yeah.
done today, Trevor. I really do appreciate you sharing your story. I wish we had more time. I think we're getting close to the time hack here, but
Yeah.
I really enjoyed hearing your beginning of the story. I think, and you transferring into the real estate sector. It's just
Yeah. On
that's
my
that.
YouTube channel, I actually have a video of my really the world's most interesting man. And I even took a picture like I'm the Dos Equis guy,
Oh yeah.
just to be funny. Because someone used to call me this Trevor, he's the most interesting man in the world, and so I made this little video just for fun and put it on my YouTube channel. There's also a lot of educational things there because I learn a little bit different. I'm not a big reader. I don't digest things. So like somebody sent me once the top 100 real estate terms. And I
Hmm.
was like, man, there's so much hundreds, so I tried to break it down to like 10 of 10 and put them in topics and just try to get a digestion video because I learn better that way.
Yeah, yeah. 100, learning 100 is a lot.
Yeah.
100 of anything is a lot, but yeah, breaking it down to smaller chunks, smaller portions where your brain can actually retain it, and then actually not force yourself, but getting yourself to actually learn the terms and
Yeah.
actually keep it retained. It'll come for
Yeah.
sure. But yes, you definitely are an interesting man. I tell you that.
Thank you.
Um, but yeah, what we'll do, we'll include the links to your massive capital in the show notes. Include the link to your YouTube channel in the show notes. Before we get out of here, Trevor, I would like for you to share any final notes, if you have any final thoughts that you want to share with the audience. And we already got a way to connect with you, but just share any final thoughts that you would like to
Yeah,
share.
I think the most important one you already shared, right? Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. But I want to take it one step further, that this is a long-term game. If you think you're getting into, a lot of people are told, in the fix and flip, or it's a get rich quick thing. The type of investing we're doing is a long-term game, right? It's buying something, building the value of it, reselling it, reinvesting that money, and continue doing it. So I want to make sure people understand that, but it is the fastest way, the most tax efficient way for you to be able to grow your wealth. So there's a lot of things that are positive about it, but don't think that it's a get rich quick scheme. It is
Mhm.
not. It's you got to play the long game.
Yes, you do. It's a long term game, hey, like
Yeah.
you said, but it does, like you said, 5 years. It took you from
Yeah.
being not into the real estate game and to be in 31 types of syndications now. That it's incredible. Like 5 years, that's all it took. But yeah, it's a long term game. It definitely is a long term game, and we definitely building this for the future of our children's and even
Yeah.
our children's children,
Yeah.
to continue on this legacy and continue building upon the wealth for themselves as well. So, Trevor, thank you so much
My pleasure.
for
Thank
your
you.
time. Shoot, we could probably talk even longer, but I enjoyed the show. It seemed like it came by faster than what I would like, but it was definitely a great conversation with you, Trevor.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.